Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your service, you and your business. But if you're in the business of serving, our next segment is going to be awesome for you. We're going to go on a rampage, a sales rampage, in fact. Our guest is with a company called salesrampage.com, and I've been looking forward to talking to him. And our guest today, Paul Panzl. Welcome to the program. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for the invitation.
You bet. Real quickly, give us your elevator speech. Tell us what Sales Rampage is all about.
Well, Sales Rampage is an international company, and what we really focus on is solving a number of problems for organizations, one of which is our latest specialty is working with companies who are trying to launch products. And that was born out of some interesting research that we've been doing over the last 4 years that noticed that around 67 to 95% of all product launches fail, or worse than that, they die very slow and expensive, painful death. They don't meet expectations, and companies keep pumping more funds into them to try to get them to realize their goals. So we've been working a lot with both marketing and sales forces to try to increase the level of sales launch success and also to make sure that they're integrated significantly better.
Very cool, very cool. Let me ask you, when it comes to the whole sales arena, tell us a little bit about who your clientele are, what kind of industries, what size businesses, that type of thing.
Well, we work all the way from aerospace to the New York Jets. We work with pharma, manufacturing, consumer goods, distribution. So essentially any company that's large enough to be able to have a Salesforce marketing disconnect, or they're having issues with margin erosion, or they're trying to maintain a competitive position in the marketplace. Oftentimes, a lot of our customers have very good technological advances or good technological products that customers are no longer willing to pay for. So they're having a significant margin shrink or loss of market because competitors are coming in and beating them on price simply because they cannot defend the technological advances that they have.
Right, right. And I tell you, my saying is that, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, he who lives by price dies by price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although you have to be able to defend the things that you're charging for. And, it used to be fairly easy to say, well, I can do the following things technologically, and customers are willing to pay for that. But we've found lately that our customers are telling us that that's become much more of a struggle than it used to be. I can't just go out there and win business by having a better feature set or a technological advantage over a customer. You've got to be able to defend it. You've got to be able to demonstrate very clearly in multiple languages, in other words, not just a technological language, but at the C-suite language, to be able to defend that, to be able to win that business.
Yeah, no question about it. So what is your sweet spot in terms of types of companies? Where do you like to focus?
We like to focus in organizations that are, well, most of our companies are in the Fortune 50, although that doesn't always exist. We do get calls from organizations that are smaller, that want to be able to achieve the same types of success. But I would say that most of the time we're in the Fortune 50 to Fortune 100.
Oh, wow, some really massive companies. A small company would be how many million in revenue?
It's tough to say. We've been all over the map. I wouldn't want to pin it down, but I would say most of them are significantly sized organizations.
Man, that's interesting. That is interesting. So how do you begin engagement with companies like this?
Well, I think what the first thing we do is we walk in and say, okay, customers will usually come to us and say, we've heard about you, we've heard about the success you've had, or they've been referred to us by somebody else, and they want to achieve X. So they have a pretty good handle on what they think the problem is. And so what we come in and do is say, well, before we dive in and assume that that's a training issue, let's figure out what's going on. Because I have to be honest with you, most of the time when we think it's a training issue, it's really an organizational issue. There's usually a disconnect somewhere in the organization that's causing the results that they're having. So we sit back and do a diagnostic from top to bottom, all the way from how is a product launched to how is it marketed and commercialized. And interestingly, how is, when they launch a product, how is that handed off to the sales force? And what is the sales force saying about it? In other words, what things are they doing out in the marketplace? Are they selling it correctly? Are they asking the right questions? Are they negotiating correctly? Or are they making some pretty interesting nuanced mistakes that can cost millions of dollars?
Yeah, if you're going to make mistakes, don't make cheap ones. Make millions of dollars of mistakes. Yeah, I like
Well,
that.
I guess the good news is when you work with those companies, it's pretty quick ROI, right? So, that's why we enjoy it.
Yeah, no question about it. Listen, I appreciate you being with us. Paul Panzl, he's with Sales Rampage. By the way, what is your role in that company?
I'm one of the principals.
Very good. SalesRampage.com. And thanks so much for being with us.
No problem. Thank you very much.
You bet. When we come back, much more for you. We want to remind you the best content here, including this interview, will be found over at usdailyreview.com, and this is The Price of Business.
She ain't got no money, her clothes are kind of funny.